Behind San Quentin's steel gates, a different kind of survival unfolds, not in the yard but in the kitchen. Here, men who've lost their freedom are finding something unexpected. Knives not for violence but for craft. Recipes born of scarcity and imagination, and a program that's transforming inmates into chefs. This is the untold story of prison food at its harshest and its most hopeful. The daily grind of feeding 5,000 men, and the underground creativity of making a meal with nothing but a hot pot and a plastic spoon. San Quentin State Prison sits on the edge of the San Francisco Bay, its cream-colored walls and watchtowers rising above the water like a fortress. Built in 1852, it's California's oldest state prison and one of its most infamous. But beyond the headlines about death row and gang politics lies a lesser-known world. A massive culinary operation that feeds thousands of men 3 times a day, 365 days a year. In this chapter, we step into that world, where the clang of metal doors meets the hiss of industrial steam kettles, and where food can be both punishment and redemption. The first thing you notice in San Quentin's main kitchen isn't the smell of food, but the smell of scale, flour dust hanging in the air, the metallic tang of steel counters, and the ever-present scent of institutional disinfectant. This is not a restaurant kitchen. It's a factory of meals. The prison's correctional food manager oversees a staff of civilian cooks and inmate workers who together serve about 15,000 meals a day to roughly 5,000 men. Breakfast at 6 o'clock a.m., lunch at 11 o'clock a.m., dinner at 4:30 p.m., like clockwork, every day of the year. Even Christmas morning starts with oatmeal, powdered eggs, and toast for thousands. The logistics alone are staggering. Food arrives by truck from state-approved suppliers, San Francisco contractors who deliver tons of staples like beans, tea, ice, flour, and coffee in bulk. Fresh produce is limited. Quality complaints have surfaced over the years about bruised fruit or dried goods past their prime, but the operation keeps moving. Pallets of ingredients are stored in vast walk-in coolers and dry storage rooms until inmate kitchen workers, dressed in white smocks and hairnets, roll them out on carts to the prep area. There, onions are diced by the crate, potatoes peeled by the sack, and bread sliced by industrial machines that chatter like typewriters. Yet behind the industrial scale are real people. Inmates assigned to kitchen duty start before dawn, often at 3:30 a.m. They move in pairs under the watchful eyes of correctional officers, their ID numbers checked at every door. The work is hot, repetitive, and tightly controlled. Knives are chained to tables, and each one is counted before and after shifts. Still, for many incarcerated men, the kitchen is a coveted job. It offers a small escape from the monotony of the cell block, a chance to learn skills, and occasionally, a sense of purpose. This tension between control and creativity is at the heart of San Quentin's food culture. On one side are the official meals served in the chow hall, nutritionally adequate but bland, dictated by budgets and bureaucracy. On the other side is the informal economy of cell block cooking, where inmates improvise with commissary items to create something resembling comfort food. Hot pots become saucepans, plastic bags become pastry piping, and crushed tortilla chips stand in for mesa in makeshift tamales. Without access to traditional tools, prisoners develop a kind of culinary ingenuity born of necessity. Enter the Quentin Cooks program, a volunteer-led culinary training course that, for 12 weeks at a time, turns a corner of the prison into a professional kitchen classroom. Founded by Bay Area chefs who believe in second chances, the program teaches knife skills, food safety, and restaurant-level cooking to small groups of inmates. Under supervision, they learn to chop vegetables properly, sear meats, and plate dishes as if they were at a downtown bistro instead of behind razor wire. Graduates leave with Serve-Safe certification and sometimes job offers on the outside. In a place where opportunities are scarce, the program is a beacon. But even outside the program, the act of cooking can be transformative. One inmate, quoted in Humans of San Quentin, described how making a simple tomato-less pasta sauce from ketchup packets, sugar, and spices gave him a sense of agency in an environment designed to strip it away. Another told Bon Appetit that teaching younger prisoners to cook spread peace on the tier because it gave them something to focus on other than gang politics. These stories reveal that, in prison, food isn't just sustenance, it's a language of dignity, adaptation, and even resistance. By the time lunch trays roll out, the kitchen is already reset for dinner. Giant steam kettles bubble with soups or stews. Sheet pans of cornbread cool on racks. Milk cartons are stacked like bricks. Correctional officers stand by with clipboards, ensuring everything stays on schedule. Outside, the bay glitters in the sun. Inside, under fluorescent lights, men in hairnets ladle chili into bins destined for the chow hall. For a brief moment, amid the noise and routine, there's the unmistakable smell of home cooking, and for some, the faint hope of a different life once the gates open. This is the daily reality inside one of America's most famous prisons. But how did San Quentin's kitchen become both a machine for mass feeding and a crucible for personal change? In the next chapter, we'll trace the history of prison food in California, from 19th century bread and water rations to today's contracts and culinary programs, and uncover how a system built for control became a stage for creativity. When San Quentin opened in 1852, its kitchen looked nothing like the gleaming stainless steel facility we see today. Back then, prison rations were a crude affair: bread, beans, salt pork, coffee, sometimes watered down, often served cold. Inmates ate in silence at long wooden tables, watched by armed guards on a catwalk. The meals were less about nutrition and more about control. Food was a tool to enforce order and discipline in a penal system still modeled on 19th century punishment. California's prison diet evolved in fits and starts. By the early 20th century, the state added oatmeal and vegetables, but budgets were tight and spoilage common. In the 1930s, San Quentin News carried complaints of weevils in flour and rancid butter. Inmates could be thrown into solitary on a bread and water diet for minor infractions, a practice banned only decades later. Food was not a right. It was part of the sentence. The post-war era brought industrialization to the prison kitchen. Massive steam kettles, conveyor dishwashers, and government-issue recipes replaced the old wooden stoves. By the 1970s, California's Department of Corrections, now CDCR, was standardizing menus across its growing prison system, issuing detailed meal plans designed to deliver a set number of calories and nutrients at the lowest possible cost. This meant powdered milk instead of fresh, margarine instead of butter, and pre-cooked meats shipped in bulk. Complaints about quality persisted, but the bureaucracy kept meals predictable. It was in this environment, mass incarceration rising, budgets shrinking, that inmate cooking culture really took root. Commissary lists expanded to include ramen, tortilla chips, peanut butter, and summer sausage. Prisoners learned to hack these items into comfort food: burritos wrapped in plastic and steamed on a radiator, fudge made from hot cocoa packets, tamales from crushed chips. These improvised meals built community inside cell blocks, and in some cases, forged informal truces across gang lines. In an environment of scarcity, creativity became currency. The first glimmers of reform came in the 1980s and 1990s, when outside volunteers started offering classes at San Quentin. Literacy programs, arts workshops, and eventually cooking instruction appeared, led by Bay Area activists who believed rehabilitation should be more than rhetoric. But it wasn't until the 2010s that a serious, structured culinary training program emerged. In 2015, a group of restaurateurs and food professionals from the San Francisco Bay Area launched Quentin Cooks, a 12-week course held inside the prison's main kitchen. Unlike the daily mass feeding operation, Quentin Cooks runs like a professional culinary school. Participants, selected from a long waiting list, put on chef coats instead of prison smocks and learn knife skills, menu planning, and food safety from chefs who have worked in Michelin-starred kitchens. They practice dicing onions to uniform size, whisking emulsions, and plating dishes for presentation rather than mass distribution. Graduates earn ServSafe certification, which is crucial for employment in restaurants upon release. Some alumni have gone on to work at Bay Area eateries, bakeries, and catering businesses, bringing with them not just a new skill set, but a new sense of self. The program operates in a delicate balance with the prison's security apparatus. Every knife and utensil is counted before and after class. Chefs pass through metal detectors, and ingredients are limited. Yet, within these constraints, something extraordinary happens. Men who have been defined for years by their crimes are, for a few hours a week, defined instead by their craft. They taste fresh herbs, work with real spices, and imagine a future where they are not just ex-convicts, but cooks. San Quentin's administration has cautiously embraced the program, noting its impact on discipline and morale. According to San Quentin News, participants show lower rates of disciplinary infractions and higher rates of post-release employment. Even the correctional food service staff benefit. Graduates often return to work in the main kitchen, improving meal quality for everyone. It's a small but significant shift in a system better known for warehousing than healing. At the same time, feeding the general population remains a Herculean task. The prison still contracts with large suppliers, still runs on strict budgets, and still faces criticism over portion size and quality. Inmates joke about mystery meat Mondays and trade commissary snacks to supplement meals. But the existence of Quentin Cooks and the quiet revolution of cell block cooking shows that even within a rigid institution, food can become a site of agency, identity, and hope. As the sun sets over the bay and dinner trays clatter in the chow hall, a handful of men in chef whites stay behind in the kitchen, practicing knife cuts under the eye of a volunteer chef. Outside, the yard buzzes with the usual prison rhythms. Inside, amid the hum of industrial refrigerators, a new rhythm has taken hold, the rhythm of possibility. Before the first light breaks over the bay, San Quentin's kitchen is already alive. At 3:30 a.m., inmate workers shuffle in under guard, hairnets on, gloves snapped tight. Their task: breakfast for 5,000 men. Giant vats of oatmeal bubble like cauldrons. Flat-top griddles crackle with frozen patties. Milk cartons, counted by the thousands, are stacked high on carts. By 6 o'clock a.m., the trays roll out, and the first wave of prisoners files through the chow hall. The routine doesn't pause. Lunch prep begins almost immediately. Potatoes tumble into industrial peelers. Onions sting the air as knives clatter in rhythm. Every portion is measured, 5 beans too many, and a supervisor corrects it. By 11 o'clock a.m., trays of chili, cornbread, and fruit cups are delivered. Some men eat in silence, some trade items like currency. The food isn't fine dining, but it fuels survival. Dinner arrives early, around 4:30 p.m., a quirk of prison life. Chicken, rice, or stew ladled into trays, then back to cells for the night. By then, the kitchen has scrubbed down, tools locked, floors hosed clean. Another day complete, another 15,000 meals served. Tomorrow, the cycle begins again. Inside San Quentin, food is more than calories. It is discipline, yes, but also ingenuity, dignity, and in rare cases, transformation. From Commissary tamales made in plastic bags to the Quentin Cooks program training future chefs, every recipe tells a story of survival and hope. Behind bars, a meal can remind a man of home, or teach him that he's capable of more than his crime. It can spark peace on a cell block, or open a door to a career beyond the prison walls. The clang of trays and the steam of kettles may fade with the day, but the lessons, discipline, patience, craft, remain. San Quentin's kitchens show us that even in the harshest environments, humanity can simmer quietly, waiting for its chance to rise. This is not just the story of prison food, it's the story of resilience, one plate at a time.